Hi, I'm Rachel with Integrity Builders and Supply, and today we are here with Natalia from Crystal Springs.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello, Natalia. Thank you for coming. Why don't you start off by introducing yourself and your position with Crystal Springs?
Okay, my name is Natalia Heisterkamp. I'm current Director of Global Strategy for Crystal Spring Hog Equipment, a Canadian manufacturer for hog feeders.
Tell people out there, if they are unfamiliar with Crystal Springs, what do you do for pork producers?
So Crystal Spring has been in the market since the 80s. We manufacture hog equipment, and mainly what we try to do is bring simplicity and quality to producers in the hog industry. So we invest a lot in innovation, research, and this is the main goal from the company, is to make certain that we're always bringing new technologies that will simplify management and make the life of the producers easier and easier.
Have you been to the World Expo before?
Yes, this is my 7th World Pork Expo.
And what is your vibe or feel that you get from this year's Pork Producer World Pork Expo?
Yeah, well, the market in North America now is not as its best, but we were pleasantly surprised to see first a lot of people in a year that markets are not very good. Sometimes you tend to go, okay, there's not going to be a lot of producers coming on, but there was a lot of them, and not only there was good flow, but also optimism. And that's nice, because at times where the market is not very good, you tend to see producers, things are not good, I'm not going to go out there. But no, they were here, they were looking for new technologies because they know it's going to come back. So I think that was very nice.
For people who have never experienced the World Pork Expo, why do you feel it is important for a pork producer or someone in the swine industry to come to World Pork Expo?
Well, it is the biggest show from North America, right? Everyone that cares about our industry, cares about the hog industry, comes here and is here either visiting, exhibiting, or as an allied industry. And we see more and more, over the years that I've been here, we see more and more international presence here at World Pork. South Americans, Asians. I mean, we had a lot of Philippines customers, Japan, and everything. And so it's really a World Pork Expo. I mean, everyone around the world knows how big this show is and how important and fun is to be here. So
absolutely. Let's talk about Crystal Springs' social media presence and what you're doing there to bring awareness to your brand and your company.
Yeah, that's exactly the main goal, right? Brand awareness. We've been working with a lot of videos and publishing a lot of articles that really try to bring to the industry information, valuable information, not necessarily about our products, but the technologies that are related to our products, or how you best manage your feeder, trying to bring a lot of our global perspective too. So whenever we go abroad somewhere to a show or to go visit a customer at a barn, just try to bring awareness that there is a whole industry out there, and we're all very connected today.
Absolutely.
I mean, more and more globally. And so we've been using our social media a lot for that.
Yes. And how would you say sharing your perspective, your education to consumers has helped you for your company?
Yeah, I think it brings, first of all, credibility, right, to your brand, because now you are not out there just simply saying, hey, I have this amazing wet-dry hog feeder, but you're saying, hey, I have this amazing wet-dry feeder, but here's what it can bring to you, and here's how to relate with what the industry is seeking more and more, productivity, the KPIs that are so important for farmers. And so I think when you bring knowledge, right, and information, then your brand becomes the image of that, and credibility is super important for us as a company.
Well, and I think with the access technology we're so used to looking up online to get an answer to our problem, right? And so wouldn't you agree, it helps pork producers diagnose or figure out how to solve their problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes as they read through an article that we're talking about, an issue that we saw happen and how to solve it, and maybe he didn't even think that he had an issue, and all of a sudden we present it as an issue and with a solution. Or sometimes, how to get better, how do I get this little bit more of average daily gain, or how can I get my feed conversion to improve? And so little things like that sometimes you're not always aware of or looking into because you got so many other priorities. And then by scrolling an article or a research that we publish somehow, it brings that, oh, wow, I can do that. So yeah, absolutely. It's really nice, and it's been rewarding for us to be doing it.
Well, I mean, her videos are great, and their social media presence is amazing.
Thank you.
So I love seeing that transparency in the pork industry. Just people willing to open up and be like, hey, this is how we do this. This is why we do this.
Yep.
So I love that storytelling and that education value that you offer pork producers. You kind of mentioned, here at World Pork, we have multiple countries and different continents represented. How about the Crystal Springs global reach?
Okay. Yeah. So really, I mean, Crystal Spring is Canadian-based company that really has feeders all over the world. Like every country that has hog production has a Crystal Spring feeder. That has been interesting for us, and it's really valuable for us, this show, for its importance, for its size, and we really bring all our team. So we have here all our business development team. We have someone from Mexico, someone from Brazil, then of course all our North American team and Europe and Asia. And it's very important because we learn a lot. By the end of the day, we're all hog farmers. I mean, the producers kind of want the same end goal, but depending on the market, they do it a little differently, right? Either because their environment is different, culture is different, their labor is different. And so over the years, this global reach helps us with the knowledge. And we're more and more able to bring this knowledge into the different markets and benchmark for them. Say, hey, here's how we do it in the US, here's how we do it in Brazil, and this is why it's different, even though the end goal, right, productivity is the same.
And I think it probably also really helps you guys in a way that, hey, we're having this problem over here, but this is how we do it in the United States. And you can put that forward to your customers as well.
Yes. And even it's funny how sometimes we have a problem in barns that are in a similar environment, and sometimes we go, okay, which country or which production facility has kind of that same reality that we can go and see how are they doing it there, and can we fix an issue that we're having here. So the global reach really allows us to have like a database, of this information and of this knowledge to be able to be constantly helping the producers to get better and better.
So from your perspective, what do you see producers seeking in their equipment going into their barns?
Yeah, it's really interesting. With our, the main KPI for production, it's, even if it's in a nursery, in a wean to finish or finishing facility, has always been, average daily gain, right? I mean, it's your main KPI, but feed costs are becoming an issue, even where they didn't used to be an issue so much. And so feed conversion, wastage is definitely a thing. And the other thing that we're seeing more and more is talking about sustainability, right? So how do I use my resources responsibly, and what can I do? Which technologies can I use? How can I adapt my equipment so I am working on a more sustainable production? And that will come either by regulations or best practices or something like that. It will keep happening, and we see in Europe, for example, water being a big topic. You know, how can I make the same production using or wasting less water? And so we have a lot of we have our eyes on that, because I think those things are input for our development, for our research.
And so the wet dry feeders, they are a great way to conserve on water, because
Definitely. Yep.
and maybe go into that.
Yes. We just made recent research with Pipestone here in North America, where we compared our dry feeder with our wet dry feeder, and it was interesting because it was like a Crystal Spring feeder to a Crystal Spring feeder, and the water savings between, you know, feeding the pigs on dry or on wet dry were up to 50%. So, and that's mainly water disappearance. So like really amazing what, you know, sometimes a little switch on your production method or anything can do to that.
What are products that Crystal Spring is showcasing this year at the booth?
Sure. We don't have specifically anything new this year, but we brought all our technologies, of course, all our line of wet dry feeders. We have our Freedom style, you know, which is a hot topic here in the U.S. because of Proposition 12. So we have that equipment. And also we brought all our line of watering solutions, where we have taken our adaptive flow technology into several drinkers and waters, and so we are showcasing all that line of product here this year.
Why don't you talk a little bit more about your drinkers that you have? You talked a little bit about the wet dry feeders. What are some of the benefits to pork producers with your drinkers?
Right. So because of that take of water disappearance, and also the ability to control better water flow in wet dry feeders, we started looking for developing a technology in our drinker nipples that would allow us to do that better and better. And what we did with the adaptive flow technology is we developed silicone inserts for our drinker nipples that no matter what is the pressure that you have in your barn, that drinker will adapt its flow to the adequate flow of the phase. So we're going to have a different drinker for a nursery than we use in a finishing barn, and we have a different drinker for group gestation or boars, and that flow will get adapted exactly for that. Not only that you're giving that pig on that certain age and weight the correct amount of water, but you're also giving it, you know, so that they're not wasting it. And so that line, that technology of the silicone insert with the different flows, we were able to take that into not only the drinkers that you see in our wet dry feeders, but also bite drinkers and some control valves as well.
And I think that would be a huge added bonus, just because for those people wondering why the conserving of water is so important. If pigs are wasting water, it's going into the pits and filling it prematurely.
Yes, and there's a whole portion of manure management too that goes into that. So the more water you have in your manure, the more cost for this manure removal. So definitely it's not only the sustainable environmental side, but there's also the manure management cost that comes into that.
Natalia, with your expertise in the swine industry, what are some of the changes you've seen over your years of being in the industry?
You know, North America is a pretty mature market, but it sets the tone for a lot of the countries and the markets that are trying to develop and technify their hog production. So that has been pretty interesting to see how countries where you wouldn't imagine in the past to sell stainless steel, you know, fully welded, super technological wet dry feeder with all those nice technologies that here in Canada and in the US we use it for so long. And they finally have the interest, and not only the interest, but they are installing that kind of equipment. So, I mean, it's good for the industry everywhere. So I think as we technify more and more, and we're able to have World Pork Expo, and many other events around the world that allow farmers from everywhere to see what's out there. We're going to be helping the industry, period, right? No matter where you are.
How can we get a hold of Crystal Springs?
Sure. We have an amazing website, www.crystalspring.com. You will pretty much find everything there, from our product line to what we call our Crystal Spring experts, and the regions are there, so you'll be able to find all our business development team to be able to reach out to them. And whenever, also follow us in the social media. You know, we do LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, in English, Portuguese, and Spanish. So find us, follow us, because we're always like posting interesting videos, writing articles, and everything else that we spoke about here today.
Well, thank you, Natalia.
Thank you.
And yes, go follow Crystal Springs and the work that Natalia does with their company. And thank you for taking the time
Yes,
to come.
thank you.
Talk to Swine Web and Integrity Builders and Supply.